Joseph, the size and scope of this, do you expect things to get that much worse here?
I expect the size and scope to grow much larger. I mean, we saw in Italy over the weekend, just the cases doubled just because they rolled out broad-scale testing. I think we can probably assume the same thing will happen here. Once we have those tests, we'll know more. But without those tests, we're flying blind.
There are a lot of people who are watching television right now and wondering if they should just continue on washing their hands or if they should go to the market and stock up on food and supplies for 2 weeks or maybe even longer.
I've lived through a couple of natural disasters myself and not related to outbreaks. It's always a good idea to have at least a few days of supplies in your home. We're not promoting panic buying. To be honest, that's a huge problem, panic buying. And you go to Costco or anywhere else and you'll see that going on right now. Most of the population is going to survive this. The 80th percentile is going to have mild cold to flu-like symptoms for, 14 or 15 days. That being said, they risk infecting those with the underlying health conditions, which it's much more fatal in that category.
What do you make of the Surgeon General today basically saying that containment is over, we're looking at mitigation?
I think he's absolutely right. Genie's out of the bottle. The containment has not worked. We've seen state-to-state spread. The states that have not yet reported it, I'm sure we'll see that once those states have testing up and running.
Do you expect to see what's happening in Italy or what's happening in Israel or France happening here at some point?
It could very well be a good possibility that could happen. That being said, unless we provide some kind of safety mechanism for people, especially in the lower income strata, there's not an option for them to stay home for 14 days. How are they going to pay rent? How are they going to get food, et cetera? So to do so, we'd have to declare a national disaster or a national emergency, national security emergency.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.